Hello everyone, Mr. G here, getting you started with our first training video. And the first one's going to be on how to save things properly when you're working on in a domain like a student in a school where you have a server and everybody saves everything to the server. And what I'm doing now is I'm actually at home, but I have a program called TeamViewer, and I'm connected to a school computer, and I'm going to show you how to set up a folder the way I would like it set up in our classroom. So I'm actually using a student account, a student from last year, and what I want to show you is when you click on Start and you go to Documents, and we're using Windows 7 here right now, it's supposed to open a folder and show you all your documents on our server. And in our school, it almost always does. Lots of places this would work where your documents folder, when you're working in a domain, where your documents folder follows you around from one computer to the other as long as you're in the same domain, meaning it shows you your documents folder that's mapped on a server. And I'll explain what I mean by mapped in a second. Okay, so if you were to click on computer, what you see here is a network location, and this is what we call a mapped folder or a mapped drive. Okay, up here you have hard drives. Lots of times in certain settings they have the hard drive, the C drive, the hard drive you're working with on your computer. They have that hidden. A lot of administrators will have that hidden from the people using the computer because they don't want them to save anything there. You don't, and this one's actually hidden. I'm using my computer at school, and it is actually hidden, the C drive that is. But the computer I have at school has two hard drives in it, one for just the operating system, one for various files, large videos that I like to store, and I actually labeled it M. So that's why you see this one, because the administrators never wrote any type of special script to hide additional hard drives, just the main hard drive. So you don't see the C drive here, only this additional M drive. You also see an A drive and a D drive, this being a floppy disk, which a lot of computers don't even have nowadays, and the D drive for the DVD drive, which still a lot of computers don't even have that nowadays. But you also see a network location. This student's ID happens to be 16234, which you see right here. It's also noted as the, and I don't want to move the mouse over because then it disappears, but if you look down and to the right, you'll see the letter Z. You'll also see it down here. So lots of times I'll refer to it as your student folder or the Z drive. And the reason why it gets the letter Z, actually Microsoft and Windows, when they first came out with Windows, like 95 and 98, way back, when you mapped the folder, they would try and give it the next available letter, like letter B, C, D, E, whatever was available. So that would sometimes be a problem because if you added another piece of hardware to your computer, it would try and use that letter. A is reserved for floppy drives, D normally D drives, C for the hard drive. So using those first few letters of the alphabet often caused problems. So they got smart, and Microsoft that is, believe it or not, and they decided to start counting, I think with Windows XP, to start using map drives and count down with the alphabet. So the first drive you map as well, the first time you map a drive, it gets the letter Z. The next drive you map, if you have two of them mapped, it would have the letter Y and then X and so on and so forth. Okay, so Z drive means you got a map drive, basically, in when you're talking about Windows stuff. Now that we have this map drive, if I double click on it, you'll see that it brings me back to where it was before, the Students Documents folder. If I click up here in the title bar, you'll see it just says Z:\\. If I click on Documents and I click up here, you'll see it says Libraries Documents. So this is like a shortcut when you click on Documents, and it usually works, but not always. When you click on, at least in our school, when you click on Computer and then double click on your Z drive, that always works. And the nice thing about that is if you click on computer and you don't see a Z drive, something's really wrong. Some sort of networking issue, something wrong with your computer, something happened with the server, who knows what. But the point is, if you don't see a Z drive, call me over. We have to get that fixed because you're going to definitely have problems. You're not going to be able to save anything in the proper place. So you have to make sure you have this Z drive. Okay, so now that we verified that we have a Z drive for this student, I'm going to double click on it. And we're going to make a new folder. You can see he's got some folders here in some of the courses that he was in my class last year. Some of the courses have had their name changed, which is a good thing because I won't want to name it the same thing. So let's say this was my folder. So I want a new folder and I'm going to name it my name and then the course name. So if you're in my Basic Computer Applications course, you're going to name it your name. So my name is Tom Garino, and then Basic Computer, and if you want to just put apps instead of application, that's fine. I like to spell things out. Hey, what's the big deal? Little extra keys. So Basic Computer Applications, and then hit enter. If you're in my game programming course, then you would put Tom Garino Game Programming. Don't use my name, obviously, use your name. And the reason why we're doing that, we now have a unique name. Nobody else in the school is going to have this folder, unless we have two students with the exact same name. But that's not very common. It can happen, but it's not very common. But if everybody just named it game programming, then at all my students, there'd be 75 folders called game programming. And if somebody deleted theirs and we had to restore it from the server, the first thing the person that runs the server is going to ask me is, what was the name of the folder? And when I say game programming, they may find lots of them if everybody named it the same thing. But if I say the name of the folder was Tom Garino Game Programming, they're only going to find one. And it makes it much easier to find and much easier to restore. So using unique names are very helpful. So now that we have those two folders named, I'm actually going to close out. And this right here, by the way, is called Windows Explorer. Internet Explorer is a browser that you use, not too many people anymore use it, but use to look at web pages. When you want to explore files and folders on your computer, we use this, Windows Explorer. And Windows Explorer looks like a little folder. It lets you explore files and folders. So this right here, Windows Explorer. You click that, and it opens some sort of window where you can then go and explore files and folders. Okay, so just want to point out that name because sometimes people get it confused. So now let's do just a little test document. And you guys don't have to do this because you're going to do the real document in a minute, but with another video that shows you how to do it. But I want to do the test document just to show you. So I'm just going to open up Microsoft Word. Okay, now that Word is open, let me just make this a little bigger. And I'm just going to type in this. I don't know why I have on all caps. Not that it matters, but it looks kind of silly. This is a test. So now I want to save that file. So I go up to File, Save As, because I haven't saved it yet. If you don't have a name and you click Save, it goes to Save As anyway because it doesn't have a name. But if you do have a name and you click Save, it just resaves it. So I'm going to go to Save As, and I get my nice dialog box here, which I'm trying to drag. There we go. Don't forget I'm connected from home, so things don't work so smoothly because I'm going through the internet and controlling this other computer. But I wanted to show you how things work in school. So now you see it defaults when you go File, Save As to Libraries, Documents, which is good. This should be your folder, and it usually does go to the right place. And you know what? Because we named it a very unique folder name, Tom Garino Basic Computer Applications or Tom Garino Game Programming, when you see that name, you see your name, Jose Vasquez, Basic Computer Applications. You know you're in the right spot. No one else has that folder name. So you can safely double click on there and then click Save. You know it's in the right spot. If by chance you go to File, Save As, and let's say we're going to save this instead, and it goes back to the same spot that you were in before, but let's say it didn't and it just went to the regular documents, and you look and you say, gee, I don't see that folder. I'm looking for Tom Garino Game Program. I don't see it. Okay, yeah, I know it's there, but let's just say you don't see it. You say, well, gee, Mr. Green always said go to Computer. So you can try that. Go to Computer, double click on your Z drive, brings you back to the same place, and then you know it's got to be the right place. You say, wait, this has got to be the right place. I must have missed it. And you, oh yeah, there it is, Tom Garino Game Programming. Double click that, and then you click Save. Okay, and then if you want to verify that you in fact did save that file, we can close out Microsoft Word, Open Windows Explorer, click on Documents. Here we see, oh, Tom Garino Basic Computer Applications. Double click that. Oh, yep, there's my Word document that I saved. If you go to Computer, double click your Z drive. All the same stuff. That's just the long way. Works every time. Clicking on Documents works most of the time. And then you double click Tom Garino Game Programming and you see that your file is there. So this is the way to navigate through files and folders through Windows Explorer while working on a domain. Usually administrators set up that link and it usually works, but if not, you can always go to Computer. You got a Z drive, that works. You don't have a Z drive, that's a problem. Call me over, we get it fixed. Thank you very much.